When The Santa Claus hit theaters in 1994, nobody expected a family comedy to become one of the most chaotic, controversial, and strange productions of the decade. From rejected dark storylines, where guns replaced startled falls, to hidden clues revealing the twist in the film's first 15 seconds. The snow globe that predicts every location, the sweaters that track emotional evolution, and the whispered line that promised sequels before the first premiere ended. These are 19 hidden details you completely missed in The Santa Claus. Number 1. The opening scene reveals Scott's fate immediately. In the very first scene, Scott Calvin sits at his desk reading a business card, but freeze the frame and look at the card itself. The border isn't just decorative trim, it's shaped like a sleigh outline, curved runners and all, wrapping around the printed text. You're being told Santa is going to be replaced, you just don't know by whom yet. Production designer Carol Spear confirmed the detail was intentional, a visual Easter egg planted for rewatchers who knew the ending. The card appears for less than 3 seconds, easy to dismiss as generic holiday stationery, but it's the twist hiding in the first 15 seconds. The entire movie is announced before Scott even stands up from his desk. Number 2, the original script was much darker. The earliest draft didn't involve a startled fall. Scott Calvin shot Santa off the roof. Screenwriters Leo Benvenuti and Steve Rudnick originally conceived the scene as Scott hearing a noise, grabbing a weapon, and firing into the darkness. Santa fell, dead, blood in the snow. Disney executives rejected it instantly. They thought it was too violent and traumatic, too much horror for a family film. The studio demanded rewrites, insisting the movie needed holiday magic, not a forensic investigation. The writers reworked it into a startled accident, Scott yelling from the ground causing Santa to lose his footing. No weapon, no intent, just bad timing and worse luck. But the original tone lingered in subtle ways throughout production. Tim Allen later joked that the gun version would have made a very different franchise. Number 3, Tim Allen wasn't allowed to improvise. Tim Allen's stand-up career made him famous for edgy ad-libs and boundary-pushing humor, but Disney banned improvisation on set because Allen kept slipping PG-13 jokes into takes. Director John Pasquin issued a strict no improv rule after the first week, telling Allen that every deviation had to be pre-approved by producers. Allen complied mostly, though he fought to keep one improvised line that became one of the film's most quoted moments. Cast members later admitted Allen would sneak alternate takes when he thought cameras weren't rolling, delivering raunchier versions to make the crew laugh. None survived. Disney kept tight control, knowing one wrong joke could tip the movie from family-friendly into something far more uncomfortable. Allen respected the boundaries, but never stopped pushing. Number 4, the snow globe foreshadows every major plot turn. Charlie's snow globe isn't just a sentimental prop. Look closely at the interior scenes visible through the glass. The workshop, the sleigh launch platform, Scott's rooftop, every major location appears inside that globe before the characters visit them. Production designer Carol Spear worked with miniature artists to craft a functional globe containing hand-painted dioramas of upcoming settings. The globe was photographed in extreme close-up, its swirling snow obscuring the details just enough to keep audiences from consciously recognizing the locations. But subconsciously, the foreshadowing works. Viewers feel like they've seen these places before. Charlie shakes it throughout the film, each swirl revealing a little more of the future. The globe wasn't magic, it was a script written in miniature. Number 5, Scott's weight gain was filmed backward. Tim Allen shot many of his heaviest Santa scenes before filming his normal weight sequences. Producers wanted Scott's transformation to feel disorienting for both the character and the audience. Allen would arrive in full prosthetic padding, film a late-stage Santa scene, then strip down and shoot an earlier moment where he's still thin. The timeline was intentionally scrambled. Continuity supervisors tracked every stage of padding, every cheek prosthetic, every beard length to ensure the backward filming still created a forward transformation on screen. Allen later said it messed with his head, playing the ending before the beginning. But the disorientation was the point. Scott Calvin doesn't understand what's happening to him either. The transformation feels gradual because it was filmed in reverse. Number 6, the North Pole is filled with hidden tech clues. Look at the workshop walls. Gears, pneumatic pipes, brass instruments, Victorian-era machinery subtly cover every surface. Production designer Carol Spear researched 19th century factory designs, blending them with fantastical elements to suggest the North Pole operation is centuries old and constantly evolving. The machinery isn't powered by magic alone. It's hybrid technology, ancient mechanics married to something inexplicable. Spear wanted the North Pole to feel like a living archive, every gear a piece of history. The elves maintain equipment that predates electricity, running systems that shouldn't work but do. The design tells a story Disney never explains outright. Santa's world evolved alongside human technology, absorbing innovations while staying hidden. The North Pole isn't a magical wonderland. It's industrial genius disguised as whimsy, a factory built on belief and brass. Number 7. The elves were cast by their eyes. Every child actor hired to play an elf had to pass one specific physical test during auditions. Large eyes. Unusually large, expressive, almost unsettling eyes. Casting director Judy Taylor wanted the elves to look timeless. Young faces with ancient gazes. Bernard, the head elf played by David Krumholtz, was only 17 during filming, but carried himself like he'd lived 400 years. Krumholtz based his performance on old men, not children, playing Bernard as weary and wise despite his teenage appearance. The eye-focused casting created an eerie effect. The elves don't blink much. They watch, they wait, they know. Disney didn't want cute helpers. They wanted beings who existed outside normal time, and the eyes were the key. Number 8. Scott's first Santa outfit is a historical replica. The red suit Scott inherits isn't modeled after the modern Coca-Cola Santa design. It matches St. Nicholas depictions from the 1860s, complete with European tailoring, real fur trim, thick brass buttons, and a military-style cut. Costume designer Carol Ramsey researched pre-commercial Santa imagery, finding illustrations before American advertising standardized the look. She wanted the suit to feel like an heirloom passed down through generations. The fabric was custom dyed to match faded historical reds. Every stitch was done by hand to replicate period construction. The suit wasn't just a costume, it was a relic, an authentic piece of history being transferred to its next owner. When Scott puts it on, he's not wearing a Santa suit, he's inheriting a mantle that predates modern Christmas entirely. Number 9. Scott's chimney transformation mirrors the North Pole. When the chimney magically expands to let Santa inside, watch the bricks carefully. They rearrange themselves in hexagonal patterns, geometric shapes that interlock like ancient masonry puzzles. Those same hexagons appear throughout the North Pole workshop, embedded in floor tiles, decorating machinery, carved into doorways. It's the signature shape of Santa's magic system. Visual effects supervisor John Bruno confirmed the hexagon motif was deliberate, a way to show that Santa's magic follows rules and patterns. The house isn't just accommodating Santa, it's literally joining the North Pole network. Its structure temporarily synchronized with the workshop's architecture. The chimney transformation isn't random, it's activation, a home recognizing the Santa Claus and responding accordingly. And when the magic fades, the hexagons disappear. Number 10. Scott's beard growth was practical effects, not CGI. Tim Allen sat through hours of real-time hair application, including a motorized rig that extended facial hair on camera. The mechanism constantly jammed, overheated, and occasionally locked to Allen's face. One malfunction trapped the rig against his jaw for nearly 20 minutes. Makeup supervisor V. Neal designed the rig herself, combining animatronics with traditional hair work. The beard extended in tiny increments, motors hidden beneath prosthetic skin pulling strands outward frame by frame. Each growth scene required multiple takes because the machinery only worked about 60% of the time, but when it worked, it was unsettling. Watching hair sprout in real time triggered visceral discomfort in test audiences, exactly the reaction Disney wanted. The practical approach made Scott's loss of control feel physical, undeniable, horrifying in its biological inevitability. Number 11. The North Pole guards are kids for a reason. The security detail is made up entirely of children in oversized uniforms carrying candy cane staffs like weapons. It looks whimsical until you remember the film's lore. Elves don't age physically. They're centuries old, frozen in childhood bodies. Disney wanted their soldiers to look harmless, cute defenders who wouldn't scare children. But the subtext is darker. These are ancient beings who've seen countless Santas come and go. Director John Paskin instructed the child actors to move with military precision, standing at attention with unsettling discipline. The contrast between their small size and rigid professionalism creates cognitive dissonance. They're playing toy soldiers but behaving like trained guards. The effect is quietly unnerving. Number 12. Neil's sweaters reflect his character arc. Neil Miller starts the film in bright, childish sweaters covered in reindeer and snowflakes. Judge Reinhold's wardrobe screams overcompensation, a man trying too hard to be the perfect stepfather. But as Neil begins to accept Scott's transformation, his sweaters darken and simplify. The patterns fade, the colors mute. By the final act, he's wearing plain, subdued knits. Costume designer Carol Ramsey used Neil's wardrobe as a visual tracker of his emotional growth. Reinhold wasn't told about the pattern until late in production. When he learned, he admitted it explained why the later costumes felt heavier, more serious, less performative. The sweaters tell a story the dialogue never states. Neil is outgrowing his need to prove himself. By the end, he's just a man in a sweater. Number 13. Santa's magic works like a computer program. Several North Pole scenes show glowing runes animating across surfaces like progress bars. The elves track Scott's Santa transition the way software engineers monitor system updates. Magic in this universe isn't mystical chaos. It's coded, algorithmic, governed by rules. Visual effects effects supervisor John Bruno designed the runes to resemble both ancient script and digital interfaces, blending archaic and modern to suggest Santa's magic evolved alongside human technology. The elves don't cast spells, they execute programs written centuries ago. When something goes wrong, they debug. The North Pole operates like mission control, magic as infrastructure rather than miracle. Santa isn't powered by belief alone. He's running on a system so old and complex that it appears magical, and like any program, it has glitches. Number 14, Scott never blinks in Santa mode. Watch Tim Allen's eyes during scenes where Scott fully embraces the Santa persona. He holds his gaze wide open, unblinking, disturbingly still. Director John Pasquin instructed Allen to minimize blinking to sell an otherworldly presence. Blinking shows humanity, and Santa exists slightly outside human limitations. The effect is subtle but unnerving. Scott's stare feels too calm, too present, like he's looking through people rather than at them. Allen practiced the technique for weeks, training himself to extend the time between blinks. He used lubricating eye drops between scenes. During the final courtroom revelation, Allen held his eyes open for over 30 seconds without breaking. The stillness sells the transformation more than any costume. Scott has become something else, and his eyes prove it. Number 15, Charlie's snow globe has a secret function. When Charlie shakes the snow globe, the swirling particles don't drift randomly, they form patterns. Watch closely and you'll see the outline of Santa's sleigh route, a glowing path tracing through the artificial snow. It's not just a keepsake, it's a tracking device disguised as a toy. Visual effects supervisor John Bruno confirmed the snow globe was designed with hidden functionality. To Charlie, it's a memento of belief. To the elves, it's a homing beacon. The globe allows the North Pole to monitor Scott's progress even when he's resisting. The tracking function is never explained in dialogue. It's purely visual storytelling, another layer of world building hidden in plain sight. Number 16, the courtroom scene was based on real cases. The custody hearing where Scott nearly loses Charlie wasn't pure fiction. Screenwriters researched real family court cases where parents lost custody for maintaining what judges deemed fantastical beliefs. Several lines spoken by the judge come almost word for word from actual court transcripts. The writers wanted the scene to carry genuine legal weight, showing that the system doesn't accommodate magic or miracles. Laura's lawyer argues Scott is unfit using the same rhetoric employed in real cases involving parents with unconventional spiritual beliefs. The scene works because it's grounded in actual precedent. The humor is built on uncomfortable reality. Courts do remove children from parents whose worldviews deviate too far. Disney softened the edges but kept the core argument intact. Number 17, the reindeer are mostly puppets. Only 1 or 2 shots use live animals. The rest are elaborate animatronic rigs with radio-controlled ears, nostrils, eyelids, and heads. Comet alone required 6 puppeteers operating different body parts simultaneously. The reindeer needed to perform impossible actions, hovering midair, responding to commands, showing emotion. No trained animal could deliver that consistently. The animatronics frequently malfunctioned, ears freezing in awkward positions, motors overheating during long takes. But when they worked, they sold the magic completely. The puppets moved with just enough irregularity to feel alive. The combination of practical rigs and minimal digital enhancement created reindeer that felt tangible, creatures you could almost touch, and audiences never questioned it. Number 18, the final Santa suit is a power symbol. Scott's completed Santa outfit doesn't resemble a friendly mall costume. It mirrors the regal attire of European monarchs: long flowing cape, gold embroidery, commanding posture. Costume designer Carol Ramsey studied portraits of kings and emperors, translating their visual authority into Scott's final transformation. The suit isn't about kindness, it's about power. The red fabric deepens to a rich crimson. The gold trim gleams with ceremonial importance. The cape flows like royal vestments. It's the moment Scott officially transitions from reluctant dad to mythic figure, from mortal man to embodiment of an idea. The costume communicates what words don't. Santa isn't just a job, it's sovereignty. Number 19, the ending scene hints immediately at a sequel. When Scott flies off into the night sky, he shouts the traditional farewell.
Merry Christmas to all. And to all, a good night.
But listen closely, he adds a whispered line most viewers miss. See you soon. Tim Allen ad-libbed the addition during the final take. Director John Pasquin kept it because executives had already begun discussing sequel possibilities before the first film released. The whisper was insurance, a planted seed justifying future installments. When the Santa Claus became a box office hit, that tiny improvised line became retroactive proof the story was never meant to end. Disney built an entire trilogy on a whisper nobody consciously heard. The Santa Claus looks looks like a cozy holiday classic, but behind the scenes it was filled with scrapped scripts involving manslaughter, dangerous animatronics that locked to actors' faces, and visual clues embedded in business cards and snow globes. Disney didn't just make a movie about believing in Santa, they made a transformation story where costumes track emotional arcs, hexagons reveal magical systems, and sweaters tell character journeys. Which of these surprised you most? And what Christmas movie should we unwrap next? Because in the Santa Claus, nothing is random, every prop has purpose.